Okay, first of all, thank you very much for having us here at Pokémon GO Fest. Can you introduce yourself?
Thank you very much for joining so early. So I'm Philip Marz, Regional Marketing Director for Niantic, overseeing all the product marketing for Pokémon GO across EMEA.
So we're here in London at Pokémon GO Fest. What can trainers expect today?
Trainers can expect a broad variety of different extractions and experiences, both in-game but also physically in the real world. In the real world, actually, there's team lounges, there's photo opportunities, there's 4 very special habitats like Pokemon experiential worlds that are normally not existing here in Brockwell Park, but have been built up in a way that it feels naturally embedded into the environment. There's a Pokemon bus, which is exclusively provided. There's the Pokemon hot air balloon, if weather allows, and many more. And from an in-game perspective, yeah, I think it definitely accounts for the needs of trainers of all kind, be it like the very core or the casual players. We have 2 different special research routes. We have Diancie making its very first appearance as the mystical Pokemon in Pokemon Go. We have Mega Rayquaza, which is also super exciting, and many more special costumed Pokemon types, and many more special spawns that will make their appearance along your journey across both Brockwell Park but also the inner city gameplay.
So this is the 3rd Pokémon GO Fest in Europe. What does this one make unique when you compare it to the first 2?
The uniqueness about the event in London is particularly about London.
The rain?
For sure, it's the British weather, which has definitely been one of the reasons why we came to UK. No, kidding aside, it's definitely special because we always aim to attract trainers and people from all over the world. So we were seeking for a destination that fulfills all the requirements from a production standpoint, but is also outstanding and appealing enough from a more international point of view. And is exciting enough to drive people from all over the world. And London, obviously, is one of the biggest metropolitan cities across Europe that has a lot to offer, also from a tourism perspective. Was definitely the perfect fit for us, and this is why we're here today.
Yeah, well, you answered my 3rd question. That's why London, not Berlin. So thank you for that. Do you have any idea from how many countries people are here today and yesterday and tomorrow?
Pokemon Go Fest really feels like a very international celebration where people from many different origins are attending. So for London specifically, we are seeing roughly half of trainers in attendance coming from local origins, and the other half is flying in from either Europe mainland or other territories like Americas or APEC. So as soon as you kind of step outside, and jump into the journey and just look around, you will see really individuals from all demographics, origins, cultures, which is pretty exciting because this is also what Pokemon Go is about, like getting outside to move, exploring the environment here in beautiful Brockwell Park and get in touch, like the social aspect of the game, with all the fellow trainers from all over the world, and this is definitely supported here because the overall, let's say, community that you will find here is super international.
Yeah, that's what makes Pokemon Go, what makes Pokemon Go Fest very unique, of course. When you look at the community, of course, there was a lot of single play during COVID. We're about a year past COVID. Is it back on where it was before COVID?
Pokemon Go has been built really to act after these 3 principles: exercise, exploration, real-world social. And when the pandemic hit, obviously, we had to change the product in a way that it hasn't been designed for originally, you know, which is why it's always been super important for us to get back to the original kind of purpose and approach the game has been built for. And this is also why we have made some changes to the product accordingly coming out of the pandemic. And we can proudly and also happily state that yes, absolutely. We see more and more communities gathering. There's this community ambassador program and the related initiative that we are supporting at a recurring cadence with all the community days. There's Campfire that is also supporting, you know, the gathering in the real world and also the coordination among communities. There's the community hub here at Go Fest where we invite, you know, community ambassadors or community members from all over the world to organize themselves, to meet, you know, to exchange experiences and so on. And there's obviously also the notable trainers that we are collaborating closely with, who are also kind of ambassadors on our behalf, supporting us, you know, to keep the community together, to keep them engaged, to keep them excited. And for us, it's definitely one of the core strategies and goals that is represented in the overarching kind of company priorities. To work with the community and keep them happy, because that's what the game and the product is all about.
Looking at GoFest as a in-person event, that's what I love about Pokemon. But it's the only one in the vicinity of the Netherlands this year. So far announced. There's going to be Barcelona, of course, with the Safari City experience. Are you looking for more in-person events in general?
Real-life gatherings is really at the core and at the focus of Pokemon Go, and this is also what we can feel here. I mean, obviously the energy is a little bit impacted by the rain today, but generally you can feel the vibe if you go outside, if you see people strolling around, you know, and this is also proving and backing that these IRL gatherings are really one of the core priorities of our marketing strategy. So, and it'll always be in the very core, because it's always been also for Niantic as a company. You know, it all started with Ingress, you know, and same we applied some of these insights for Pokemon Go, and we will also apply these for other products as well. And for Pokemon Go specifically, there's currently 4 different tiers of live events that we are executing on. There's Go Fest, is the most mature live event, you know, that's fully owned and operated by Niantic. Then we have the recently announced City Safari. We have community days, and then we have also smaller scaled industry event layovers, you know, that is pretty much self-organized, you know, and individual gameplay. And these are the different event tiers that we are supporting to date. And we are always aiming, like from a destination or location perspective of where we are hosting the upcoming event. We know that there's a huge desire from communities all over Europe to host and have these kind of events in their countries. But there's a lot of consideration obviously going into that, and we are always aiming to bring these events at scale as closely as possible to locations where the biggest amounts of active players are, obviously. And there's, let's say, very select core markets that host and contain the biggest amounts of players, which is also why, you know, you can follow that track a little bit. It's Germany, it's UK, it's going to be Spain, you know, and they might follow others. But this is also, you know, one of the obvious reasons, to be honest, why we make that selections that way around, because we always need to have a certain baseline of on-site players, you know, that make it exciting, that create a decent mass, and then others will join in, obviously, because that also supports the community approach of that, because the community also is also spreading the word, obviously, of inviting their fellow trainers and friends from all over the world, you know, and this is why some countries or destinations remain underserved to date. But at the same time, this is also the reason why we are coming up with formats like City Safari, because we are way more flexible with events of this kind, you know, and it'll definitely also help us to address the desire and demand from markets like the Netherlands, for instance, or Sweden or Norway, you know, where we also see a lot of player activity, and where it's absolutely in our interest to find to find ways to support these kind of requests as well. But for the time being, we will mainly address that through the Community Ambassador Program and Community Days, and or city safaris that might come up in the near future. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, thanks very much for the interview. If there's one thing you want to tell the Pokemon players as the end of this interview, what would it be?
2023 is definitely one of the most exciting years for Pokemon Go since a very long time. There have been meaningful and super exciting updates coming to the game, most recently Roots, which is also opening up kind of the gameplay to a completely new audience. And I'm personally super excited that Pokemon Go is embracing so many individuals with so many different interests actually, and is so diverse, so not only working with a diverse audience, but also has a very diverse offer. And I couldn't be more excited, even if I can't speak to it in detail today, but there's even more coming until end of year. And as we aim to build a forever game out of Pokemon Go, 2023 definitely marks a very important milestone for that, and there's a lot more to come.